the trash and the free bus.
And check out the crooks.
Shut it down with the crime scene game. Even the Statue of Liberty's covered.
Hit the button. Bonus call to prayer effect included. New York City 2026 playset.
Citizens of the Soviet of New York City, from the first day of the new year, every meal, every market, every crumb within our borders shall be certified halal. The unity of flesh and faith strengthens.
Not all those, the one right there.
So here it is. We're on the highway. Mamdani has won the mayorship, and he is going to be our new mayor. So all of these people, see, these are just cars. You can't look at them and tell the political viewpoints of the person inside it unless they're, dumb enough to have a bumper sticker or some type of political rhetoric emblazoned on their car. But bottom line is this. I'm watching Fox News because basically, since Mamdani won, and also the Democrats won Virginia and New Jersey, basically I've been watching a lot of Fox News because I love listening to them crashing out. I just love it. So you already got the Sliwa crash out. You've got Cuomo, he's crashing out. It's just absolutely hilarious. And, we got your popcorn, you got your big TV. Oh, and by the way, Black Friday's coming up. Vizio has a new 100-inch television, and it's only $1,600. Now, I was thinking about buying, Alienware has this 55-inch computer monitor, and it was $4,000, but now it's been marked down to $1,600 or $1,700. I could probably get it for about $1,500 plus tax. So I was kind of weighing the decision. I'd be like, which one should I buy? Should I buy a 55-inch computer monitor to play, games and stuff? Or turn my living room into a goddamn home theater and, put that shit like 100 freaking inch Vizio? I was wondering. And then the other issue is most of these televisions, we replace them and there's nothing wrong with them. So then I think about it, it's like, what would I do with my old television? Because the old television that's there is smaller. But, there's always the basement or you could give it to a family member or something. Because right now, if you give away a television, they expect it to be a smart TV. So as long as it has like Roku or it has some kind of smart TV features, you're good. And then they'll appreciate it. But anyway, Trump supposedly tweeted, he was like, yeah, I'm not on the ballot and the government shutdown is the reason. And it's like, yo, guys, guess what, Trump? You are on the ballot. Even though you're not running for president, your policies are on the ballot. A lot of people ain't too happy with your policies, Trumpy Bear. A lot of people ain't too happy with your policies. This government shutdown is getting worse I should say the effects of it are getting worse. I think TSA is walking off the job in some places. There was a plane crash, which I don't think you can attribute to the shutdown, but they may find out that maybe it was due to the shutdown. It was a UPS carrier plane that was carrying like mail or something, mail and packages. So fortunately, it wasn't some massive loss of life. It was 3 people. Unfortunately for them, it was 3 people. But the thing about it is it calls into question, well, just how safe is air travel right now if the government shut down? And my thinking is, look what they did. They did this government shutdown and they allowed this shit to run right into these key elections. And my thinking is, well, maybe that was part of some kind of strategy because they could have ended this. And now that the races are over, now they're talking about ending this. And, it's funny because some of these people are so short-sighted. They don't understand how other people think. They don't understand the psychology. So I'm arguing with some stupid asshole on Facebook. And he's like, even if you added up the Curtis Sliwa votes to the Cuomo votes, then Mamdani still would have won. So you're wrong about your math, because he was telling me I was wrong. And I was like, no, idiot. What I'm trying to tell you is that if Curtis Sliwa hadn't been running, what's possible is that a tighter race between Cuomo and Mamdani may have turned out more voters for Cuomo, because now people would have thought, you know what, there's more reason for me to go out and support Cuomo, because we had record election rates. Supposedly it was like 1 million more people voted this time than last time. Because I'll tell you, with Eric Adams, there was really not much to be excited about, especially coming out of Cuomo, and coming out of, what was his name, de Blasio, and coming out of that, there really wasn't much to be excited about. And I think de Blasio was a failure. And the New York City Police Department would say the same thing. De Blasio was a failure. And that's what we've been getting. We've been getting a string of failures. And Mamdani, I think, is seen as something new. And, I don't want to talk too bad about de Blasio, because I did meet him in person on a personal thing. I did meet him in person and everything. I don't want to talk bad about him. But the simple fact is, you can't tell the New York Police Department that, that you don't appreciate them. You can't make them feel unappreciated any more than you can say that about New York City, any union worker. You can't say that stuff. Like, you have to make those people believe that you've got their back and that they've got yours. He went to some cop's funeral and they turned their back on him. And that's not a good sign. That's really not a good sign. That's not a good sign for any mayor. So I don't want to talk too bad about de Blasio. But Eric Adams, having been a former cop, a lot of people who I know who were NYPD cops hated Eric Adams. So the sad thing about it is, Eric Adams and Tish have done a pretty good job lowering crime. Like, me personally, no matter what I say about Eric Adams, I didn't hate Eric Adams. I don't have a problem with Eric Adams. I've been saying that I feel that Eric Adams spoke up against Hochul, because you got to remember, I didn't vote for Hochul. And I never was going to vote for Hochul. I didn't vote for her. But the simple fact is, she got in there because Cuomo fucked up at his job. So I've got disdain for Cuomo for leaving us at the mercy of Hochul. But the thing about it is, I never had a problem with Eric Adams. In fact, I appreciated him going to them other countries and saying, listen, stop coming here. But the real problem was that you had Texas Governor Abbott, what's her name? She calls him Hot Wheels. What's her name? Crockett? Yes. Crockett calls him Hot Wheels because he has a wheelchair. But he was sending these illegal people up here, and they were trying to spread the pain around and making everybody anti-immigrant, people beyond the border. And the reality is, he should have been locked up for that shit. But it wasn't going to happen that way, and the Democrats are such weaklings that they didn't call attention to it. And that because see, if I was Democrats in charge, Hot Wheels would be in prison right now. But they didn't say nothing. In fact, nobody's even thinking about Abbott. Nobody even says his name. I'm like one of the only people who made that connection early on. I was like, yo, I see what this guy is doing, and nobody's doing anything about it. And I've been saying this shit for the longest. Now, I don't expect you to hear it, because YouTube shadow bans people with political viewpoints that they don't like. And that goes to the other side, the conservatives, the people who are talking out about COVID and about the vaccines. They shadow ban people. So I'm not going to pretend like everybody was going to hear my message. When you used to see me driving up and down the Southern State Parkway with my Jeep, I was right here. I'm driving up and down the Southern Parkway, shouting at cars and shit, and screaming and all that. Yeah, that video got like 1 million views. Those videos got hundreds of thousands of views. But the second you show intelligence and you start talking out against their bullshit, that's when they shadow ban you. So I'm not even going to let it bother me, because the thing about it is, as you can see, I'm driving the $80,000 fucking electric Cadillac and shit. As you can see, I make my money. I got my hands off the wheels because the motherfucking car drives itself. Does your car drive itself, Infinity? No. No. Does your car drive itself, Hyundai? No. So I'm going to be fine no matter what. I took my YouTube money and I put it into portfolios for stocks because I was like, you know what? This gravy train ain't gonna last forever. So let me put my money in stocks. I've been putting my money in stocks from YouTube for a very long, like since like 2014. And look at this guy. Freaking stupid Honda Accords. But anyway, bottom line is when they shadow ban people, they make it so that the message doesn't get out. And I'm not too mad about that. But, you know, it's disgusting that you make videos about these dumbass cars and you get like 20 or 30,000 views. But meanwhile, when you start talking about politics and shit that actually matters, they shadow ban you and they make it so you only get maybe 800, 1,000 views. Like, I mean, it's pitiful. So when people, like, you know, I look at some of these reviewers, these car people, these amateurs. These people got like over 800,000 subscribers. I can point out absolute examples. I'm not going to say names. But I see people with 800,000 subscribers. And they put out a video now and they get less than 20,000 views. That's not mathematically possible unless you're shadow banned. Peter Schiff has figured it out finally. Oh yeah, well, you know, I have like 600,000 subscribers and that seems to be the magic number that they won't let me move beyond. You finally figured it out, Peter. You've been shadow banned. Now, what did Peter Schiff do? I want you to point at Bitcoin. Bitcoin dropped below $100,000 yesterday. I posted it on my community chat. Peter Schiff was saying for the longest, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. But this government under Trump, this government is trying to sucker people into cryptocurrencies so that they can launder and steal money. Look at the guy he pardoned. I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy at Bitfinance. He pardoned a guy who was in jail for money laundering. A Bitfinance, whatever the fuck his name. I don't really care. But the thing about it is they're trying to sucker you into that shit because it's not backed by anything. And because the rules and laws that govern gold and the US dollar do not apply to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. They are suckering you into that shit. China, meanwhile, has a gold reserve in Shanghai. And they're building a currency without the US dollar. And they're getting all these BRICS nations to go into this gold-backed currency. So the question you have to ask yourselves, and I already know what the libertarians are going to say, which currency do I want to be in? The one backed by gold or the one backed by nothing? That's the simple fact. And that's what it came down to. So they've been shadow banning anybody who has a counter message. And what's funny is they've gone so far, like even Filipina P, shadow banned. Whenever you see somebody, like for instance, I look at my subscriber count. I should have hit 100,000 a long time ago. But I didn't. You know why? Shadow banning. There's no way possible that you could be getting new people to your channel and still be stuck at 91.4 subscribers. It's not possible. They're shadow banning people who tell the truth. That's what they hate. When I read, when I go and do like a story, I always start by reading something that's actually been published as like a premise. Not only that, I find it easier not to speak myself. I find it easier to get other people to say the shit that I want to be said. So I find what other people are saying and use their own words against them or against the situation, whatever it is. But the bottom line is, it's like YouTube shadow bans all that shit. That's what they do. I don't know when there's going to be a nice, juicy class action lawsuit. Because I remember that crazy ass guy, RBR, Real Brother Network, he was talking about suing Google and all that. But he's dead now. Oh my God, look at this traffic. This whole shit is red. Everything's red. Everything's red except New Jersey and the mayoral election and Virginia. Kratos, you're in trouble now. Anyway. But I've been watching those God of War videos, man. I don't know why. I love those videos. It's like that shit is better than regular Greek mythology. I love those videos. I was watching like God of War Ragnarok, and what I was basically saying, every time I say, yeah, Ragnarok is here, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, this is the end. All the shit that they built, all this bullshit, it's the end. This is Ragnarok. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at Ragnarok here. It's like we got Surtur, and he's going to put a knife right through their heart. It's like incredible. I was watching all those God of War videos. I'm waiting for the next God of War. Because, see, I don't, it's funny. I haven't played a single God of War game. But I like watching the cutscenes. I love the cutscenes. It's like watching a movie. Like where he goes and kills all the gods of Olympus and everything. I love it. And he kills the gods of Norse mythology. Like he killed Heimdall and Thor and everything. Like I've been watching those videos ever since they were published, man. I watch them over and over and over again. Every now and then, like when I get bored, I just love watching those videos. I love them. Kratos is the fucking man. And I think it's also really interesting that both of the people who portrayed him were black men. It was one guy from Living Single, and then the other guy was Christopher Judge from Stargate, who played Teal'c or whatever his name was. Because I kind of like Stargate. Like, I just didn't watch them all, but it was a decent show. But I think it's really interesting that when they want to take a white man and they want to make him really scary, like Darth Vader, what they do is they put a black man in a mask, and you got the black guy's voice with the white guy. He's supposed to be white, but he's got a black man's voice. I really think that's amazing. When they want to make a white man terrifying, they put a black man under him and they just put a mask on him. And if you really think, they always do that shit. Let's see. Yeah, but this is what we're dealing with, and this is before Mom Donnie. Look at this goddamn traffic. It's like you got to deal with this shit. These people have to do, and now all of these people. See, these people right here, they're going towards Long Island, and these people right here are going from Long Island into the city. A lot of these people have jobs inside Manhattan, Brooklyn, and so forth and so on. And now every single day, whether they were a Mamdani supporter or not, they're coming into the city where Mamdani is the mayor. How about that? How about that for you? How about them apples? Amazing. Fox News. Fox News' broadcasting place is in Midtown. I remember one time I was driving through there and I videotaped it. I saw Michael Steele. And I screamed out to him. I was like, yo, aren't you Michael Steele? Because he's got that ridiculous haircut and he's got those glasses. He looks like a Muppet from Sesame Street. And he was like, yeah, that's me. And I was like, yeah, man, yeah, no, nice to see you. And he was crossing the street. He was crossing right in front of me. It was so amazing, like when you're in Midtown, how you can, meet people on television who just walk across the street for a coffee. Like, it's just amazing. And I got that on videotape. I don't remember exactly where I put that video, but it's in my search bar somewhere. But some of you who watched me for a long time, you may have seen that. That was pretty interesting. And there's a lot of those other Fox News people. Like, I've never seen Sean Hannity or anything, but there's a lot of those other people who are there in Midtown, and and MSNBC. I've never seen Rachel Maddow or anybody like that, but every now and then you do meet somebody who's television famous. But I think those TV people, they're getting mad because they're losing a lot of their influence due to the internet. Like, you've got all these internet influences, and these people, many of them have way more subscribers, way more followers, and they're more famous. Like me personally, like if I saw Mr. Beast sitting next to me, I wouldn't even know who that was. But these little kids know Mr. Beast when they see him. I have no idea what that dude looks like. Like, I have a silhouette in my mind, but I don't know. I really would not recognize him if I saw him, But we got a lot of influencers, some of which I would recognize. Let's get in here because I can't stay on this. It's like, this is like freaked up. This is like terrible. This is terrible. The Van Wyck is a nightmare right now. It's a mess. The whole thing's a mess. Yeah, this whole thing's a mess. So it's easier to get to the Van Wyck by just going a different way. Yeah, I guess I could do that. This is ridiculous. Yeah, but that's that, man. I was telling you, a lot of people came on my channel and they were like, Mom Donnie, who the hell is that? In fact, when when I first heard about Mamdani, because I didn't pay any attention to the Democrat primaries. When I first heard about the guy, I looked him up, and I realized, I was like, wow, wait a minute, this dude was born in Uganda? And I was like, wow, okay, so he was born in Uganda, and that's the reason why these pathetic-ass Republican racists, we got to figure out how to deport him, man. We have to have real ID checks and all. Like, they're talking all that bullshit. And the thing about it is he could have just as easily won if, because see, first of all, the Constitution only places a limitation on the presidency for a natural-born citizen. It doesn't put that limitation on the mayor races. And the reality is, the people in mass should be able to elect anybody they want to elect. It shouldn't be, there really shouldn't be limitations on who the people elect. If the people want somebody, let's say somebody who's born in Canada, or let's say if the people wanted to elect Arnold Schwarzenegger, they should really be able to do that, but the Constitution disallows it. So for the time being, you can say, okay, well, if the Constitution says no, then I guess the answer is no. Okay, fine. But the reality is the mayorships don't have that limitation. And a lot of these stupid morons who never had civics and don't even bother to read the Constitution, they didn't understand that. And that's why some of the, we got to check his real ID. Oh, Mamdani lied on a birth certificate. Like they did with Obama. Same shit they did with Obama. And see, these people are so, and I'll say this. With Mamdani's win, it's not really that different than Obama's win. The DNC didn't really want Obama. The DNC had been pushing Hillary on us for God knows how long. They even had a freaking television series with a woman who was the president or something. And I forget what the name of the show was because I never watched it. But they've been pushing Hillary on us for a long time. They've been pushing and pushing and pushing the idea of Hillary Clinton as the first president. They were pushing that on us for a long time. Obama came and cut her to pieces, man. Destroyed her, just destroyed her. And then they tried to run her again, and then Trump came along and destroyed her. It's pathetic. So the simple fact is, it's like the DNC, the Democrats, at this point, the Democrat Party needs to die, and new, fresh, young voices need to take over. And that's what you basically see with Mamdani. Now, what I will say, however, is, to tell you the truth, I personally liked Bill Clinton more than I liked Obama because, first of all, I feel Bill Clinton was a better, I think he was better at governing. I think he was a better governor, and I think he was better at governing, And I really think Obama didn't do anything substantial. I think Obamacare was a gigantic disaster. You have no right to health care. You have a right to buy health care. You don't have a right to free health care. That would be like saying that doctors and nurses and hospital staff are slaves. It's like you have no right to force anybody to heal you. You have a right, however, to pay them to heal you. You have a right to private contracts under the 14th Amendment. But there is no right to free healthcare. First of all, I can say that because there really is no right to free healthcare. It's not in our Bill of Rights, and it's not in the Constitution, obviously. So I can say that, and you can't challenge me unless you're stupid and you don't understand how to read, because you cannot point out where it says there's a right to free healthcare. Now, the problem is, just like Reagan said, he said, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. So they put this shit together. John Roberts passed it, by the way. Keep in mind, conservative Supreme Court Justice John Roberts. That was the biggest mistake he could have made. They passed it. It shouldn't have passed. And now it's causing continued problems. Because now when you tell people, there's not enough money, or the Obamacare mandates are hurting people's pockets and we're going to get rid of it and everything. Now your problem is, how do you unwind it out of the law? That's the problem. So I really think that shit should have never passed. If I was John Roberts, it never would have passed. you know, I think the reason why healthcare is so fucked up is because of government intervention in the first place. Because if you really think about it, every aspect of healthcare has gotten significantly better. You can take a x-ray in a few seconds and they show it to you right away. The technology has gotten superior. You can take MRIs, CAT scans in a few seconds or a few minutes. And, we have more people studying to be technicians, 2-year degrees to be technicians for these things. And the medicines, I think part of the reason why medicine is so fucked up is because the FDA approval is so difficult. If you go to the UK, a lot of the drugs get passed in a much, much shorter amount of time. The FDA is a racket. It's like a mafia. It's a cartel. And the thing about it is, unless you jump through all their hoops, you cannot get certain drugs passed. And in many cases, the FDA trials are not, how should I say, they're not scientifically sound. Like, for instance, if you have a drug that could somehow treat terminal illnesses like a cancer, right? Until that drug gets FDA approval, the people who are suffering of that illness are going to keep dying. Now, if I came to you and said, listen, we just developed this drug, but the problem is it doesn't have FDA approval. You got terminal fucking illness. You're gonna die. You might as well take this, but I can't sell it to you because the FDA hasn't approved it. Can you imagine how many people have died because they couldn't get medications that weren't approved because the FDA hadn't approved them? But later on, those drugs were approved and they could have saved those people's lives. Can you even imagine that shit? The numbers are countless. You can't even count them. But long story short, it's all a racket. It's all a scam. It's all a grift. And the simple fact is we got to live with this shit. So there's not really much you can do. There's really not much you can do. It's just sad. It's really, really sad. But this is New York, man. You're not a real New Yorker unless you're sitting through fucking traffic every day. This is a real New Yorker right here. So you people are worried about Mom Donnie. I'm worried about traffic. It's like, I ain't worried about no Mom Donnie. If Mom Donnie could let me tell you something. If I was a dictator, I would build a bridge between Montauk Point and Connecticut. And I'd also build one between Riverhead and Connecticut. And I would make it so that I cut fucking traffic by like 30 to 40% just by making it so people don't have to drive all the way into the fucking city just to get to mainland America. Because the interstates are much, much faster, but the problem is you're not on any interstates until you get off Long Island. And for the most part, all of New York City is basically Long Island. Manhattan is an island. And then right after that, you have Queens, Bronx, Brooklyn. All of those are part of Long Island, but they're cut off because of segregation and boundaries and borders that were just made up. And then you have Staten Island, which is an island. Staten Island is an island. Manhattan is an island. All of this shit is Long Island. But when they drew the lines, segregation made it so that Long Island cuts off right about at Nassau County. And after that, it's all non-coloreds, basically. It's just sad. They screwed themselves over. And me personally, I'm enjoying watching this all be destroyed. I really am. I'm sorry. When I say Ragnarok is coming, you got to remember, Odin lost his eye because he was trying to figure out how to stop Ragnarok. And he was trying to find out everything he could find out. And basically, he was trying to figure out how to stop Ragnarok, right? And he lost his eye. But there were some people who were pro-Ragnarok. You never get everybody on the same side of the coin. There were a lot of people who were pro-Ragnarok. I'm pro-Ragnarok at this point. So as far as I'm concerned, the Democratic Party needs to die. It needs to be dissolved. And I think Trump is doing such a terrible job to the Republican Party. And you look at what he's doing to the farmers. I think the Republican Party is going to... basically, the Republican Party may have already died and then resurfaced as the MAGA Party. It all depends how you want to look at it. But these corporate Democrats, these corporate Republicans, these people need to go. The money that's in politics has corrupted this shit so absolutely that it just needs to die. I'm sorry. Call me entropy. All systems that are in order are slowly moving towards a state of chaos. Call me entropy. That's what I am. I'm entropy. Ragnarok is coming. So I'm listening to people crashing out on the radio.
You're lumping him with other Muslims of Indian descent who have hurt you.
Historically, what I've seen. I didn't call to get beat up.
No, I'm not beating you up. Sounds like you're beating yourself up.
Look at that house over there.
I'm trying to get you to put your hands down. Put down the hand.
They turned a single-family house into that.
I'm just coming up.
Look right here. Look at this Tesla. Look at this Tesla. Uh-oh. Look at that flag. Whose flag is that?
I've been there, and I know the difference when you go in the masjid and when you're out in the street, how they treat you.
I see.
And it's the same thing I've seen all the time.
Why did you go in the neighborhood? Why did you go in the masjid, brother?
When I was young, I wanted to be a Muslim. I went to masjids all the time.
Okay, and everybody in there treats you one way in the masjid. When they came out, they treated you differently.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm not even gonna have a rejoinder to that. I think I should just let that breathe. Decant that and let that breathe, brother.
Steven, look at all the bullshit that this guy's got in this charger, in this scat pack right here. Like, he's got freaking, like, interior goddamn fucking lights and shit. And if you could see that, I don't know. I have no idea what the guy... He put all that stuff on there. It kind of looked like a cop car. I don't know. And it's funny because this toy itself is probably only like $2 at a Dollar Tree. Yeah. But how much popcorn fits in this? Not much. This is a popcorn.
It lights up.
That's crazy. It lights up, really?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's on the bottom.
Oh, okay. The wheels
Right there.
fold in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The wheels fold.
And the light, let's go like this. Yeah. Oh, so your battery's shot.
Oh, the battery's dead?
Yeah, your
The battery on this is dead, too.
Yeah.
It's the kind of... Oh, no, there it is. Oh, wow. Ooh. Wow, $100 for a movie ticket. Hey, there we go. Oh, okay.
And the front lights up too, but the front don't work. Are you gonna help us, or are you doing
No lights?
something now?
Oh, no, he's good. He's good. I think he's waiting for me. I gotta pay you? Okay. Yeah, see what it looks like without stuff in it. Yeah, these guys at Disney, man, these guys are criminals. It's not a bad idea, though. It's pretty... This one's a nice one.
Yeah.
But you should be able to get this, though. Like, this should be like a dollar store thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like a garbage can. It's
Yeah,
like but this one's pretty. I like that.
I like that one.
You already got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you, I collect them.
Yeah, I collect old figures. Like, I got Hess trucks and Exo
I got
Squad.
the first head truck there with me.
I used to have the one that was a bank.
Yeah.
And now there's no banks anymore.
I have them all.
I can make that work. Yeah, that looked cool on my shelf.
I'm gonna see if that comes with a lid. Whoa! I don't want that hot dog.
All right. I tell you, I almost want that. I almost want the DeLorean thing, but I didn't come here to see. I didn't even know that was out today. Back to the Future.
I got a coin that puts your coins in.
That's pretty.
When it first came out,
That's cool.
I got it.
This is really interesting. So there's a Tesla Model Y parked right next to me, which is pretty interesting after driving the new Model Y Standard. But then I saw this. Who the fuck is using the club on a goddamn Honda Accord? This is a 2008 or a 2009 Honda Accord. Who the fuck is using a fucking the club? And then it's not even just a regular club. This is the most obnoxious fucking shit I've ever seen. Look at this thing. Disc lock. And he's got Cheerios and shit in the fucking passenger seat. This dude's a weirdo. Who the fuck would... Who puts the club on a goddamn fucking Honda Accord? Like, who? I mean, That's just lunacy. Jesus Christ. Yeah, look at that shit. Oh, that's pretty.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
About Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi's retirement.
I think she's an evil woman. I'm glad she's retiring. I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
And on Dick Cheney.
I thought she was an evil woman who did a poor job, who cost the country a lot in damages and in reputation. I thought she was terrible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you.
I think you maybe forgot these, so I brought some for you.
Go to hell, libtard. This is all the Democrats' fault.
Hey, just take a Tylenol.
But this choice was about to change everything.
I like peanut butter.
No.
Tylenol.
It's harder than you.
Ow! What the heck?
We'll see. Ha! My turn.
Whoa! Where did they come from?
Doesn't matter. Let's throw.
I voted for this!
Buck, Dirk Allah. Dirka, Muhammad Jihad. Haka Sherpa, Abakala.
Visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration, because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
When we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put you...
It's just getting a little old. The only thing you libtards have is proof and evidence and emails.
And photos and videos and witnesses and judgment. Oh my God. Honey, the $5,000 Doge check is here. Oh wait, never mind. It's our new insurance premiums.
Fucking Democrats!
Congratulations on your new 50-year mortgage. And question though, which of your grandkids will continue the payments when you and your children pass?
Today is November 12th. So it's a few days past when I actually put together part one of this video. It is Wednesday, November 12th. The Dow has rallied to 48,254, which is an all-time high. Basically, this is supposedly because the government shutdown is supposedly ending. And I believe that's probably the main reason that will be pointed to. So it says equities rise modestly, U.S. bond yields dip with government reopen, interest rates in focus. Now, it's funny because as the government is reopened, I was watching the news when I got home today. Pam Bondi was basically up there blaming the Democrats. Oh, yeah, the government shutdown was all the Democrats' fault. It's the longest shutdown ever, and the American people are... Simultaneously, they started releasing emails, supposedly from the Epstein files, basically saying, it's like a drip of emails being released. So I guess that was to kind of take the focus off of the government shutdown and put it back on Trump and say, yeah, well, now that the government shutdown has ended, let's continue to put pressure on the Trump administration to release all of the Epstein files. And the question you have to ask yourself is, why is it that they won't release the Epstein files if Trump himself has nothing to do with anything criminal. Now, I would say that there's only a couple of possibilities, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that because that's a different subject. But possibility A is that Trump actually did something criminal and releasing the Epstein files would expose him. Option B is that Trump didn't do anything criminal, but he's protecting someone else who did. Option C is that they are going to ultimately release the files, but what they're trying to do is give everybody a chance to position themselves in response to the backlash they're going to receive. So supposedly over there in the Royal Kingdom, they kicked one of their pedophiles out and forced him out of the place that he was renting or something like that, and forced him to renounce his name. To tell you the God's honest truth, off the top of my head, I forgot. I listened to the story and I forgot the guy's name. I forgot his title. I really don't care because, I'm an American. We don't care about royalty. We don't care about them at all. But the long story short is there's a good possibility that option B and C are the answers. They're protecting people, and what they're trying to do is give them a chance to position themselves before those files are released, because they know that the backlash is going to be wide and it's going to be wide felt. It's possible that there are rich men, bankers, lawyers, there's people involved, because Jeffrey Epstein, he had like a cavalcade of people. I mean, for God's sakes, Trump was there, Bill Clinton was there, Bill Gates was there. It's one of those situations where it's guilt by association. Like, I ain't never been to no Epstein Island, but all of these super rich people were. And then there's also the possibility that if I were a super rich movie star, or if I was a super rich government person, there's always the possibility that years ago I could have gone there and not realized that it was going to end up biting me in the ass 10 or 20 years later. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But what we're also waiting for is Trump to keep his promises. Now, you remember that he claimed that we were supposed to get a Doge check? Remember from that short-lived Department of Government Efficiency that Elon Musk and somebody named Big Balls was running? We were supposed to get a Doge check. Trump has been talking about releasing a $2,000 stimulus check for the tariffs. And so the Doge check was supposed to be a stimulus check. But this $2,000 check he's talking about, that's supposed to be a tariff check. Now, I'm hearing all types of bullshit because, first of all, I ain't seen no Doge check. I'm hearing all this nonsense about when it could possibly be given to us. But the thing about it is, that's all contingent on what happens with the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court rules that the tariffs are unconstitutional, chances are we might not be getting anything at all. Now, if the Supreme Court does uphold it, then the question would be, well, who's going to get it and when are they going to get it? I have no idea. And right now it's all speculation. So basically, Trump is just saying these things and suggesting these things, but you have no idea if any of that's actually going to come true. I'll also remind you that there's a whole lot of first responders who are still waiting for their first responder bonus that was supposed to come. That shit never came either. And I knew people who were first responders. It was like during COVID, I used to hang out with some of them. And, we'd talk about it every now and then, but that shit never materialized. When the government is $38 trillion in debt, you have to wonder if they're going to keep any of the promises that they're making. Also in the news, and I could talk about this a little bit later, Trump is talking about the possibility of having 50-year mortgages. Now, this is not the first time that this came up. I initially heard about the possibility of 50-year mortgages. That was a while ago. That was maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, because I had heard about that before. In fact, I think I had heard about the possibility of 50-year mortgages as far back as 2008 and 2009. And that was because back then, just like the ARM loans and the cozy loans, the banks were trying all types of bullshit to sucker people into getting into these properties. And they were making all types of instruments up. And the simple fact is a 50-year loan is a bad idea. First of all it does is it cuts down the monthly payment to allow you to get into a property. But the reason why that backfires is because if they offer a loan like that, then more people qualify for it. If more people qualify for it, then that means that the homeowner can actually choose to raise the price because now more people are going to qualify to come after them and make a bid. So the homeowner, instead of like saying, okay, you know what, this house is worth $500,000. No, fuck that. I'm going to make it $800,000 because after all, you're going to finance it for 50 years. You're going to be in debt for the rest of your life. And I'll reduce the number of people who are trying to apply for it. But the reality is, if somebody really wants this place, they'll pay me that extra $300,000 simply because I can get it. And if by chance a regular person can't afford that type of loan, you could ask for $800,000 and you could just as easily get it from one of these real estate developers or somebody who wants to be a landlord, investor, or own an Airbnb or whatever it is. The other reasons why the 50-year loan is a horrible idea is because you gain equity extremely slowly. There's a lot of people who are underwater on their car loans, and they don't understand why they're so far underwater on their car loans. But these are the exact same people who took out loans for 74, 96 months, and in some cases 144 months. The 50-year mortgage is not a new idea. Yes, this has come up before. The whole idea of 144-month car loans came up before. And I've been as transparent as possible. With my Jeep SRT, I took out an 86-month loan, if I'm not mistaken. So that was about 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. I took out it was an 86-month loan. If I'm not mistaken, it was either 86 or 96. I can't remember what it was. Long story short, I paid it off early. And the reason I paid it off early was because I wanted to knock out as much interest as possible. So I was making more than the minimum payment. And the minimum payment was, I think it was like $1,030, I think. Yeah, it was about $1,030. But bottom line is, I was paying extra. And I just wanted to knock the loan down as quickly as possible. Some people know that, if you want to get rid of a loan faster, what you can do is you can either put a whole extra payment, or what you can do is just pay more than the monthly payment asks, and you can make a note that says apply the extra directly to principal. Because technically, if you put more money into a loan than you're supposed to, they're supposed to actually refund you the money. But what you have to do is you have to tell them specifically, no, I want to apply extra to principal, so that not only do you make the interest payment, but you make more on the principal payment. And a lot of people ended up owing more than their loan was worth, even though they had been paying on the loan, because they'd only been paying the interest while the principal was still growing. And in some cases, they weren't even paying all of the interest. They were making a minimum payment. But what happened was they weren't paying enough interest, they weren't paying enough principal, and the loan started growing. That's what happened with those student loans, which is why when the government gave me a student loan, they said, this is 6.875%. I said, fuck that. I'm going to get another job, and I'm going to make a whole extra payment to this loan and pay my shit off like 10 years early. So me personally, I've always understood that the best way to take out loans, if you have to take out a loan, is to take out a loan for the maximum term that you could take out and then pay it off early. Typically, there's no prepayment penalty on any of these loans. In America, the banks are pretty much lucky if you ever pay off a loan. So they certainly don't penalize you in most cases for paying early. There are some lending institutions that will penalize you for prepayment, but most of them absolutely do not. And that's been my philosophy, because the reality is, if you take out a loan, and let's say that at some point during that loan, you want to reinvest some of the money that you normally would be paying for the monthly payment into stocks, bonds, or something else, or maybe a house or another house or whatever it is. The reality is, by having lower monthly payments on your assets, it allows you to free up money just in case you want to direct that money in a different direction. It's risky, but some people, like me, some people are able to do it, and some people are able to make it work. Like, for example, I never would have been able to afford 2 cars and a house, or 2 houses and 2 cars. I never would have been able to afford all that if if I was taking shorter loans and paying the maximum payment to them. That's fucking stupid. So it makes more sense to stretch certain loans out. But as far as the 50-year mortgage, that's really a bad idea, because first of all, now actually, you know what? It's a bad idea because it causes the homeowner to raise the price of the house. It also causes you to build equity very, very, very slowly. And then on top of that, by the time you are finished paying off the loan, you're going to probably spend 2 to 3 times as much in interest, depending upon what your interest rate is. And on top of that, by the time the loan is finished, your house is going to be worthless because it's going to be old. 50 years. You have to remember, the 30-year mortgage is based on the likelihood that you're going to marry in your 20s. You're going to stay married until you're in your 50s. And then by the time you're retired, your house should be paid off. But that's not how these people live anymore. These people are getting divorces, fucking up their money and their assets completely through divorce. On top of that, a lot of these people are working themselves to death to send their kids to school. And it's not like their kid is going to college for like a regular degree, or it's not like their kid is going to college and got scholarships. No, they're sending their kids to party schools for worthless degrees, and they're busting their ass to do it. And I just find that's just stupid. There are parents sending their kids all over the world to school. And these kids are going to party schools, chilling, having fun and everything. And they're coming home with either worthless degrees, or they're coming home with lackluster degrees. As far as I'm concerned, the only loans we should be making, government subsidized loans that we should be making, should be science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine. All of that bullshit, liberal arts fucking studies, if you want a degree in something like that, you should have to pay your own money, or you should have to take out loans for a private institution that is going to rake you over the coals if you don't pay them back. The taxpayer should have nothing to do with that. And that's the reason why we're so... What is it? Student loans is about $1.8 trillion worth of debt. That's the reason why we're so deep in debt on that. And, granted, there are much, much larger things that we owe money on. But I don't think we should be giving loans to anything short of science, technology, engineering, math, or medicine. I don't even think we should be giving loans to law. If people want to be lawyers, let them pay for that. Because we really don't need any more lawyers. We really don't. I mean... there's some people who are going to be lawyers and doctors anyway. And doctors we need. Lawyers we really, really don't. We really don't. You could go to small claims court. I could care less if you win or lose. I'm sorry. But I don't think we should be giving out government. Now, okay, for talents, we should have grants. For talent, we should make exceptions for talent. But for these people who want to go to school and get some fucking bullshit liberal arts degree in women's studies or an ed doctorate or something like that, they shouldn't be able to do that shit. They really shouldn't. They should have to pay that money out of their pocket, or they should have to pay that money to a private institution. The taxpayer shouldn't be on the hook for that. Because when the government's on the hook for it, all of a sudden people lay back on the shovel. That's just what that's what it's always been. You talk about communism, you talk about socialism. That's what it's always been. So anyway, I've been talking for a while, but as far as this Dow, yeah, I'm still waiting. We're I was saying not too long ago, it's like, yeah, we're gonna hit Dow 50,000. The thing about it is, I don't attribute that to Trump. The Dow would have hit 50,000 regardless who was in office. That was inevitable. Even if you look at the history of the Dow, you look at it over the last 10 years, it didn't matter who was in office. You could go back before 2019. You could go before 2023. You could go 2020. It doesn't matter. You can see that the Dow was going up no matter what. Some people would argue that the reason for that is because the Dow is inflated because the money that's been put into these stocks is inflated. Some people would argue that a lot of the money that the government has printed has gone into these stocks. Some people would argue that a lot of the money the government has printed has gone into all types of asset bubbles. So the Dow is going to hit 50,000 no matter what. All I can tell you is that because I am heavy on Dow stocks, my index was Mangoat. I've been talking about that for years. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Google, oil and gas stocks, Amazon, AMD, Micron, Tesla, and such. Because I'm so Dow heavy, my money just continues to gain. In fact, today I had like $70 worth of dividends come in. And, I'm just going to leave that there until it gets a little bit higher, and then I'm going to use it to buy more stock, just like I did recently. A couple of weeks ago, I bought more stock in Capital One Financial. Those are the people who took over Discover Card, because I told you I buy banks and credit cards. What I also should say is gold is at $41.90. Gold is at $4,190. But you know who's not up? And I have to mention this, who's not up is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down to 102,195. I think I told this story. Maybe you haven't heard it yet because I haven't posted it yet. I was at a wedding and I got a friend and she asked me out of the blue. She heard me talking to somebody else and we were just talking about stocks and investments and stuff. So out of the blue, she decides to interrupt me. Oh, I want to sell my Bitcoin. So I'm like, you want to sell your Bitcoin? And first of all, I have to also mention that when she asked me about Bitcoin a long time ago, I warned her not to get into Bitcoin. I'll tell you just like that. When people ask me about buying Bitcoin, the first thing I tell them is don't do it. They're like, I'm sorry. The first thing I tell them is don't do it. She asked me a while back about buying Bitcoin, and I suggested that she doesn't do it. I suggested she invest her money in something else. I can't remember. So naturally, she decides to go and invest in it anyway. So she invested in it, and she bought like 0.00149 of Bitcoin or something. Basically, she bought Bitcoin crumbs. Just so you understand, if you don't own a whole Bitcoin, like 1.0 or higher, then all you've got is Bitcoin crumbs. The majority of the people who I know have Bitcoin crumbs. Bitcoin, when it started out, there were some people who had whole Bitcoin. Most of them lost it, wasted it, or somehow lost access to it. A lot of those people who got in the very beginning, there are people, you got to understand, there's people who bought Bitcoin who have died and nobody even knew that they had Bitcoin. And that's the problem. Nobody would know that. If something happens to me right now, if I were to go to sleep right now and die in my sleep, guess what? I've got beneficiaries on all of my assets. My mama knows where my keys are. My mama knows some of my banking codes and all that shit. She knows where I keep my guns and stuff, so she knows that, if she wants to take my collection and hide that shit just in case there's a civil war, she can come right in here. My bullets and shit are right there. But the bottom line is, I have beneficiaries. She's just one of them. With Bitcoin, if something happened to me, nobody would even know I had it. So I'd just be another person who can't sell anymore because I'm dead. And nobody would even know I have it. Because believe me, if you go hold Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, if something happens to you today, tonight, if something happens to you, that's it. It's going to just sit there. Nobody's even going to be able to get to it because your phone is locked. and then whoever finds your dead, rotting body, they'll try to figure out how to get into your phone. They won't be able to. Face ID doesn't work if you're dead. Like that's something that they did. They made it so Face ID does not work if you're dead. Now, I know there are some what are those things? I know there are some like ETFs, and I know there are some other things that allow you to name beneficiaries so that just in case something happens to you, it'll go to somebody. But most of us haven't done that. Let's just say it like that. A lot of people have not done that. A lot of people have not. If something happens to you, your cryptocurrency is just, it's just forgotten. When your phone dies after you die, nobody's going to be able to even get into it. And nor will they even try. So the reality is, even if they could get into it, chances are they'll have a lot. Like, for instance, what I did was I made it so that a lot of the apps on my phone you can't get into unless you use Face ID. So let's say my girlfriend killed me in my sleep. This is just a hypothetical. Let's say she stabbed the shit out of me and killed me in my sleep, right? She was like, yeah, I'm going to take this fucking guy's money and I'm going to get out of here, right? She's not going to be able to do that because the Face ID is not going to allow you to open it up, and you're going to end up needing a password, which you don't have. Yeah, that's just basically it. Because when they put that feature on these phones, they made it so that you could lock down individual apps. I made it so that my banking apps do not work unless I have the Face ID or the PIN number or both. I made it so my Charles Schwab doesn't work unless you get the point. The bottom line is, with my stocks, with my pensions, all that stuff, I named beneficiaries. So just in case something were to happen, my money goes to them. And they can use some of it to bury my ass. I'd like to have a nice funeral for about $10,000, but we don't have to. I'd like to make sure there's nice food there too. So maybe we do about $15,000 worth of funeral services. But other than that, it's like they get to enjoy the whole rest of it. They got the key. My keys are sitting right there. They can take my keys, drive my cars and everything. And as long as they pay for it, because if they don't make those payments, Cadillac's going to show right up with a flatbed truck. Or if they don't, well, okay, the Jeep is paid off, but Cadillac will show right up with a flatbed truck, say, yeah, give me that fucking car back. And that's it. So, we didn't come here to stay. And all of this shit, I tell you, the more and more I live, everything to me looks like it's recyclable. Everything, including the people. So, that's just what it is. But these cryptocurrencies, as far as I'm concerned, this shit is a joke. Right now, Bitcoin's 102,000, down from 124. As far as I'm concerned, we're in crypto winter. Everybody else could think differently. Ethereum was riding a high only a month ago. Not anymore. This is down to 3,400. It'll probably drop. It'll probably keep dropping through 3,000. Someday, it'll go back up because I believe in the bigger fool theory at this point. I believe there's always a bigger fool. I believe that people are going to keep pumping money into this shit. And what I also recognize is that the Trump administration is pushing crypto very, very hard. It appears to me that we are sitting at the infancy of two new competing financial systems. You have China and the BRICS nations. They want to build based on gold-backed currency. So China has a whole strategic reserve in Shanghai. America, however, wants to build based on nothing. They want to build based on cryptocurrencies, digital currencies. That's what they want to build based on. They don't want to build based on gold. The reason why is because when you do that, it actually limits you, and you're not allowed to run ridiculous trillion-dollar deficits. You're not allowed to have $38 trillion worth of debt when you have a currency backed by something. So it appears to me that's what's happening. That's what it appears to me. And I also should mention, I know Meta has been dropping. Meta is right now at $609. Meta does pay a dividend though. So Meta is there were people who waited when Zuckerberg was talking that nonsense about the metaverse. There were people who waited till it hit like under $100 and they bought it. And I'm pretty sure they're very happy with their purchase because it shot up to like almost $800. In fact, what was the high on that shit? The high on Meta, the absolute high was $796. So it almost made $800. I was looking at, I was telling y'all for the longest, I was telling you that you should buy Goldman Sachs along with the rest of these banks. Goldman Sachs is at $838.97. The 52-week high was $840. So we're doing pretty good with Goldman Sachs. Doing pretty good. And it also, by the way, pays a 1.97% dividend. So I've been happy to hold Goldman Sachs. I had also recommended to you to buy Coca-Cola when they did their stock split. Coca-Cola right now is, if I'm not mistaken, at its all-time high. Now, I told you to buy it back when the stock had split. And, where is it? Where is it? Coke, KO7. 155. The high, 52-week high was $158. So this is post-split numbers. But I told you to buy it, I think it was a month or two ago when it went under the stock split. And right now, what is this, 4 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago, announced its fourth quarter dividend. The stock split was not 15 weeks ago. I think the stock split was like 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I told you to buy the split. But see, every time there's like a stock split on a dividend-paying stock with a company that I know, I just buy it. I just buy it just because. But I've done my best in my community chat to tell everybody when there's a stock split, so this way you can get in on it too. Unfortunately, because YouTube shadow bans people and YouTube drives traffic to people like Jim Cramer has cost people so much money, I can't even imagine how much he's cost them. And then Kathy Wood. See, YouTube likes to drive the traffic towards these liars and gurus and fakes. Now, I'm not one of those people. I don't ask anybody for memberships. I don't ask anybody for money. And the rest of these people do. Like, these people got these bullshit memberships on their channel. I'm not paying you $6. I'm not paying you $6 a month. What are you, crazy? Like, I'm seeing some of these women, too. These women who get on there and shake their ass for TikTok, asking you for like 75 cents or something. I'm like, I'm not paying you that. No. What are you, crazy? Like, but there's some people who are doing it. Now, granted, there are some of these females who've made it work. You know, they're showing off feet photos and they driving Rolls Royces and Bentleys and everything. Yeah, okay, listen, I can't argue with that. I can't. There's nothing I can say. But the whole rest of them, it's like, I ain't paying you 75 cents no damn month. What are you, crazy? I ain't paying you 80 cents a week. What are you, nuts? But, that's just how the internet works now. It's all fake news. I'm sorry. It's all fake news. That's just where we are. It's all fake news. Oh, Eli Lilly, by the way, at 52-week high, $1,022. Right now, it landed at $1,017. That's doing pretty good. Now, Trump claims that he's trying to bring down the cost of medication and everything, but he makes a whole lot of claims. I'll start listening to what he says after I see my Doge check and after I see my tariff check show up in my mailbox. Until then, I don't believe it. Sorry. I'm not believing it. Let's see. But yeah, that's just where we are. So as far as this government shutdown goes, everybody's pointing fingers, everybody's blaming everybody and this, that, and other. And the reality is, I think the Democrats, under Chuck Schumer, the Democrats, first of all, the Democrat Party as it is needs to go. It needs to die. It needs to die, and when it does, it's going to be reborn into a new form. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the Democrat Party has some tough choices to make. First of all, Nancy Pelosi, she just announced her retirement earlier this week. It's time for her to go. She needs to go. Schumer, people are saying Schumer sucks as a leader, and now everybody's saying it. See, it's one thing when just one or two people say it, but it's a different thing when everybody's saying it. Chuck Schumer needs to go. He's been there too long, and he's ineffective. After the Democrats walked away with those victories last Tuesday, the Democrats should have basically been, at that point, they should have basically got together and say, you know what? Okay, well, we won these victories. We got New York, we got Virginia, we got New Jersey. We got, first of all, every single person that Trump endorsed lost. Every single one of them lost. So as far as I'm concerned, that's obviously the public striking back. It's a repudiation against Trump's tactics. Fox News can talk about the tariffs working all they want. I already know that's not true. All it's done is raise prices. Fox News can talk all they want about how great the stock market's doing. Well, as I just pointed out, that was going to happen anyway. And there's so much inflation in the stock market until, the stock market could go to fucking 100,000. But the thing about it is it's not going to happen under this president. So you're just going to congratulate whoever happens to be in office when it actually happens. The all-time highs are going to come regardless, because that's just the trajectory. But anyway, I think the Democrats, they got a lot of tough choices to make. They should just say, the Democrats who decide to break with the party and vote with the Republicans to open up and stop the shutdown, I totally applaud them. I don't know their names, but I totally applaud them because especially after you got the victories on Tuesday, it was time to put an end to this. The last thing we need is danger in the sky. The last thing we need is air traffic control being overwhelmed. Because I look at it from the aspect of a pilot. It's like, you go to the airport, how the hell are you supposed to even catch your flight when these flights are booked the way they're booked up, they're late, everything's messed up, it's chaos. No, it's time for them to end this. As far as Obamacare is concerned, I never believed in Obamacare because I always understood. First of all, there's no right to health care. There's a right for you to buy health care, or there's a right for you to buy health insurance, but there is no right to health care. That would be like saying, the doctors and lawyers have to heal me. They're my slaves. No. There's no right to health care. There's a right to purchase health care. There's no right to health insurance. There's a right for you to purchase health insurance. That's under the 14th Amendment, private contracts. You have a right to purchase health care or health insurance, whatever you want to call it. Problem is, here in America, first of all, this is a very toxic environment on various levels, but we don't have real health care. We have sick care. By the time you access your health care, you're already sick. Most people go to the doctor when they're sick. What we don't have is preventative care. What we don't have, if you look at these European countries, a lot of them have preventative care. A lot of them, you have to go through so many hoops in these, here I should say, in this country, you have to go through so many hoops with the tests that you could be suffering of something. And this actually happened to me, but I'm not going to be very specific on it. But this actually happened to me. I went to the doctor because I had an ailment. The doctor misdiagnosed me. And believe it or not, I actually understood more about what I thought was wrong And I was asking for specific tests, but it was like, oh, well, we don't have that test right now, or we don't have that test in the building. We don't have that machine in the building. We don't have. So bottom line is the doctor misdiagnosed me. The doctor ended up costing me a couple of $100 going in the wrong direction. And I was still suffering from this ailment. Now, when I finally was able to get the test done that I wanted done, they saw the test and immediately they were like, oh, well, we got to stop this test because we see that there's something wrong with you. And when I heard them explain to me what they saw was wrong on this test, I was like, that's exactly what I thought the problem was. And sure enough, when I went back to a different doctor with this new information, the new doctor was able to give me a procedure that completely fixed my problem, the problem that it was. You may have noticed my voice has changed. You may have noticed that I don't cough as much as I used to, and that was basically it. And our healthcare system's a mess. I don't know how much money they made off of me by recommending all of these tests taking me in the wrong direction, but it probably cost my health insurer a decent penny. Now, fortunately, when I went in the right direction and I got the procedure done that I needed done, fortunately, even though it cost like over $100,000 for the procedure, but fortunately, it solved my problem. Now, when you're talking about Obamacare and you're talking about government-funded healthcare and stuff like that, or single-payer system, whatever they want to call it, socialized medicine is never going to work in this country because there's too many people that have pre-existing conditions, number one. But then what's worse than that is we have this entire country set up to create pre-existing conditions. So again, how can socialized medicine work when the country itself is making you sick? I want you to think about mental health care. Now, we know that there is what they call a male loneliness epidemic. We know that there's also a female loneliness epidemic. But look at what they've set up that's causing these things. You've got social media, which is turning people fucking crazy. I mean, it's turning people absolutely insane. You got social media. One of the big people in the news right now in social media, you got Nick Fuentes up there with the straight up anti-Semitism and racism. So here you've literally got a system set up that's 24/7, which is basically the equivalent of cyberbullying. Only now you're talking about it's cyberbullying people based on race, ethnicity, or gender. So right there, you've already got a problem. And you've got a problem with your mental health. How exactly is socialized medicine, how is that supposed to deal with the costs that would be attributed to you having to go see psychiatrists or psychologists based on your mental health deteriorating? Look at these children, the cell phones. I just saw online, I was online a little while ago, they were saying, the cell phones are like a syringe because they were basically saying these kids are addicted to the phones. How many kids have died because of suicide from cyberbullying? How many girls have killed themselves over not looking pretty or whatever you want to call that? I don't know if they have a term for it. Maybe they do. Will Zuckerberg ever be sued for all the suicides attributed to Facebook? Will TikTok ever be sued for all of the morons who did those challenges and died doing them? I don't think so. Will Instagram ever go down for that? I don't think so. So the reality is, If you think about mental health alone, think about, we have a system that's literally set up to get women to waste their youth, to not have children, to not settle down with equally yoked or whatever you want to call it men. You literally have a system that's set up to make you sick. Socialized medicine is never going to work in a situation like that. It can't. It just can't. Because it's not health care, it's sick care. John Roberts passed Obamacare as a tax. The way it was sold is that, oh, well, if they don't get their own health care plan, then the individual mandate will pay for it. I knew from the very beginning that shit was bullshit. I knew from the very, very, very beginning. And that's why I was like, wait a minute. How the hell are you passing this as a tax when you're supposed to be passing this as healthcare? But that was a Republican Supreme Court Justice, John Roberts, Chief Justice John Roberts, who was put in there by, what's his name? George W. Bush, who passed Obama's key legislation, which was nothing more than a tax. And it literally was passed as a tax. So the Democrats are fighting to keep Obamacare, which is something we never should have had in the first place. I was trying to explain this to my mother. I was like, yeah, the Democrats' goal is to force the Republicans to keep Obamacare, but the Republicans don't have a plan B because this is not something that you're supposed to have. You're not supposed to have taxpayer-funded healthcare, especially in a country that's this toxic. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. It's never going to work. And chances are they're never going to pass that. You'll never really see this happen. It'll go back and forth in Congress, and Congress will be able to point back to the failures of Obamacare as reasons why they shouldn't ever do this again. And then they shouldn't do this again. But then the question becomes, well, if they don't have socialism, if they don't have universal basic income and such, then the question's going to become, well, how are you going to deal with these people when AI takes all of their jobs? That's the real question. Because AI is costing a lot of people their jobs right now. Middle management. There's a lot of people who are in jobs where because of AI, they don't need these people anymore. Now, I'm trying to get out of this whole goddamn work system. I got about 10 years till I'm retired. And sooner or later, they're going to try to figure out how to make androids like Commander Data on Star Trek. And once they do that, I'm fucked. And everybody else is too. But I'd say we got about a good 10 years. Because you also have to remember, some people's argument is, oh yeah, well, AI can't repair itself. Yeah, but what about when they make robots that can repair themselves? What about when they make robots that can repair themselves or build new robots or design new robots? Then we're all screwed. Skynet doesn't have to come at you with tanks and machine guns and missiles. Skynet can just take your job, and Skynet can, basically just say, well, I guess you're just out of a job. Sorry. Like Skynet could just send a bunch of Terminator machines, and they don't even have to kill anybody. All they have to do is just go to work, and that's it. And you're screwed. The robots can make money, and the robots could give it to us. That could be like a universal basic income. But the thing about it is, chances are a lot of that money is going to go into something else. Because at the end of the day, the owners of the robots are making the money. Those things are basically slaves. But I don't know. I digress. So, Obamacare was bullshit. The Democrats tried to hold up the government, keep it shut down. I think they should have just said, you know what? Okay, we won on Tuesday. We got New York. We got New Jersey. We got Virginia. Let's just get back to work. Nope, they kept trying to hold out. And now a lot of the Democrats, I'm guessing their constituents called up and say, listen, I'm ready to go back to work. You need to end the shutdown. And they worked with the Republicans. And they said, okay, well, we'll have a bipartisan opening. And just enough of them went over to open this thing up. And I guess, me personally, I'd rather have the government open back up because I think that these radical left Democrats, they're a little too left for me. And the Democrat Party has to get rid of these people. If you are LGBT, if you are trans or whatever, as far as I'm concerned, you need to be marginalized out of the party. Sorry. It just is what it is. And I'm not saying that because I have anything against you. I'm saying that because you're costing us votes. You're costing us votes because we're losing young male voters. We're losing them. And to tell you the truth, if it comes down to the young male vote versus your vote, I'm pretty sure that they outnumber you. And if they outnumber you, then I'd rather go with them than you. Got to get rid of these people. And listen, you are totally free to start your own party. You can have the LGBT party. But the Democrats, see, the problem with the Democrats, and this is something I figured out a long time ago, how do you get people to be a coherent voting party if they hate each other? How do you do that? The answer is you don't. And right now you're seeing the results of that. You're seeing the anti-Semitism in the Democrat Party. You're obviously seeing it from the Republican Party. But because the Republican Party is mostly Christian, heterosexual, white males, we're not even going to talk about them because we already know exactly what they are. That's the core of what they are. The women who vote along with them, but the women do not control the party. The problem with the Democrat Party is the Democrat Party has tried to tie all of these minority groups that aren't heterosexual Christian white males together. The problem is, once again, how do you get all these people to vote coherently if they hate each other? For a long time, they were able to get that done. They were able to get the Democrat Party to work together and to vote coherently. All of that's falling apart now thanks to the internet, thanks to the rising anti-Semitism based on Netanyahu, Israel versus Gaza, thanks to the Democrats' stance on Russia and Ukraine, thanks to the Democrats' weakness against Trump. These people, everybody's basically quitting. And then you got the conspiracy theorists. You got the rising conspiracy theorism, even among black males. You have the divide between liberal feminism and male voters. So no, the Democrat Party has to die. At this point, I have absolutely no resume. I have absolutely no background. I would love to take over the Democrat Party and be its leader. I would love to, because I would give Trump a run for his money. I'd run that poor man into the ground. But I would do it in pretty much the exact same way he would do it. Because I'm shit. If you look at some of my, if you look at some of my platform points, I'm probably to the right of Trump. I'm probably more rightist and more Republican than he is. This fucking guy was doing this interview, and he literally told this chick, I forget what her name is, Lauren something. I don't even know what her name is because as far as I'm concerned, she's not important. She said, oh, well, we have plenty of talent right here. And Trump was like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you ain't got enough talent. And you have to understand, I've lived all around the world. I've lived and specifically spent a lot of time in China. I've seen what the competition looks like. American kid, I'll just say it just like Trump said it because I totally agree with him on this point. American kids are absolutely no match for Chinese kids at all. I was talking about this earlier today. These Chinese kids on Sunday night, these kids go to freaking school. They go to cram school. They go to study groups on Sunday night. 7 days a week, they got their ass in a school. If they're in college, they're at school. They ain't at no fucking wild parties. They ain't got no parties over there. There are some clubs. Yes, there are some clubs, but those are usually the people who are not in school competing with other kids in school. Their colleges are think tanks on a level that America ain't ready. I'll tell you like this, a lot of the adults who have high-paying jobs ain't ready to go up against your average Chinese kid. They're not. Your average Chinese kid, while I'm making this video for YouTube to shadow ban it, your average Chinese kid is writing a fucking app right now to make himself $1 million or more. While I'm doing this little video right here, your average Chinese tech student is putting together a sex robot to sell it on the market, a sex doll robot, gynoid, whatever you want to call it. The average American worker can't compete with the Chinese at all. First of all, there's only 350 million Americans in total. They got 4 times this freaking population. They have more people in adolescent age groups than we have people. You ain't competing with that. What Trump has done, especially with these tariffs, what Trump has done is Trump has basically fulfilled a neocon dream to go up against China and Russia. They didn't know how they were going to do it, but now under Trump, they took somebody who was extremely unpopular, let him gain popularity, and then they decided to go up against Russia and go up against China. Here's the problem, however. You can't win. You can't win. Russia, before you say anything, you go, oh, well, what do you mean you can't win? Trump claimed that when he got into office, the Russia-Ukraine war was supposed to be over, what was it, day 1, he said? Yeah, what day is this? Because it ain't day 1 no more. We're in fucking December now. We're about to, soon it'll be January 20th again. January 20, 2006. That'll be a full year, and it's still going. Russia, they've called, what do they call it? They call it a gas station with nuclear weapons or something. Yeah, well, it just so happens that that's enough to get them by. Then there's China. The average neocon, what is his name? Fuentes, what was that kid's name? Nick Fuentes? The average neocon white supremacist like Nick Fuentes, I think by now they should know there ain't nothing they can do about China. Nothing they can do about China. The average neocon white supremacist white nationalist has hated Russia and China. And I think I know why. I think it's because Russia walked in there and killed up all them Germans, all those Nazis. And I think the average white supremacist didn't have a problem with those Nazis. Russia went in there and killed them. Russia went in there and violated the women in Germany. All of them. And I was watching, what was I watching? I was watching this movie. It's on YouTube, in fact. It's called A Woman in Berlin. Or A Fräulein in Berlin. I don't know what they call it, A Woman in Berlin. I watched that movie. Man, that movie was, what's the word? That movie was really shocking. And that's not even the word I wanted to use. That movie was disturbing. Yes, that's a better one. And then I think the average Nazi white supremacist lover is disgusted with Russia. Russia beat them to Germany. Russia got in there, killed them. Because see, if you look at U.S. history makes it seem like America ended that war. And it's really weird because, it skips from the landing of D-Day somehow to the bombing of Japan. Doesn't really talk too much about how America fought the Nazis. Russia went in there and fought the Nazis. And we came in and cleaned up. And we went in there looking for technology to steal. Russia had already got up in there. So, the bottom line is, I can imagine that a lot of those white nationalists, white supremacists, they hate Russia. They hate Russia. They hate Russia for that. And then right after that, you had the Cold War, which Russia basically won. Because if you really think about it, We went to war with Vietnam, and thanks to China and Russia, the Vietnamese kicked us out. I'm getting ready to go to Vietnam. I'm getting ready to go to Cambodia. I already been to Thailand. Vietnam and Cambodia, those countries are doing just fine. You know, I don't know how communist they are. I guess I'm going to have to see that up front. But they're doing just fine without America. Now, you look at Philippines. Philippines is in piss poor poverty. That's the reason why Americans like going there looking for women. So bottom line is you have to wonder, I wonder what this underlying hatred towards Russia and China is, because they've basically been breathing Russophobia down my throat for a very, very long time. They've been breathing anti-Chinese phobia for a very, very, very long time. Now, it's easy for me to say this stuff because I don't even think a lot of people are going to hear it, simply because YouTube shadow bans people. So I really don't think most of this is even going to get heard. So it's easy for me to just say it, get it off my chest. But the reality is that's exactly what I'm starting to think based on what I see. Now, this Nick Fuentes, they're having a debate as to whether or not he should be canceled and banned. No, YouTube banned him outright because he was talking anti-Semitic. He was basically being anti-Semitic for one. He was just like Elon Musk. Anti-Semitism, racism, bringing up things on. Now, see, Elon Musk, he had the money to say, you know what, I'm just going to buy up, like, I'm going to find, Twitter? And these liberals talk on Twitter freely, so I'm going to buy that up and push them out. That's what Elon Musk decided to do. He said, yeah, I'm going to buy up Twitter, I'm going to push him out. They never consider, I haven't seen anybody else do anything like that with a video server host the size of YouTube, because I don't think they can. Google is so big at this point that I don't think that they have $1 trillion to get together to take on Google. However, look at TikTok. TikTok came along and ate everybody's lunch. So what did they do? Oh, well, we're going to ban TikTok. Never did it. They banned TikTok. That shit took 2 hours for Trump to put that shit back online. 2 hours. Now they're saying, oh, we're going to make Larry Ellison buy it or something, and he's got to buy TikTok or whatever. So basically all you're doing is saying, well, because TikTok radicalized our kids against Israel, what we're going to do is we're going to buy it, and now we're going to have somebody there who's going to make it so that that doesn't happen again. If you think it won't happen again, then you're not very smart, because all it'll take is something else to come out, and TikTok will be the thing that the kids used to use. At a certain point, there was Snapchat. Snapchat was big. At a certain point, there was Vines. Vines was big for a minute. But these kids are so ADHD until they're always jumping from one thing to the next. So the Chinese got them with TikTok, and now they got them with Sora. So now they're moving them over to Sora with AI videos. You really don't think that they're going to get them with something else? Of course they are. It may be a year, it may be 2 years. Next thing you know, they'll be on something else. It's just that simple. But you know what? I can rant about this shit for a long time. But it's not worth it, because now I'm getting tired. So what I can say is this. If you try to build up that portfolio, make sure you're buying dividend-paying stocks. If I were you, I wouldn't be buying no goddamn crypto. I certainly wouldn't be buying Bitcoin crumbs, because that's all you're going to get. My friend asked me to sell her Bitcoin for her. I set that shit up for her, and I was like, no, you push the button. I'm not touching that shit, because I don't want you blaming me for selling your Bitcoin if this shit ever does come back. Because chances are it will come back. But I don't want to wait that long. I want my money to be in a way where it's constantly earning more money, and I don't have to worry about it on a day-to-day basis. She pushed that button. She sold what Bitcoin? She had 0.0014. She sold that shit, and I didn't miss it. I'm pretty sure she didn't miss it either. She wasn't even willing to wait for it to come back. I mean, the woman makes over, what was it? She makes over like $150 and $20,000 a year. So she didn't even care about the fact that she lost maybe $300 or $400 worth of Bitcoin. She didn't even care. She was like, nah, I don't want to. I tried to, believe me, first of all, I tried to tell her, do not buy into Bitcoin because you don't understand what you're doing. That's number one. Number two, when she came to me and wants to sell it, I was like, yeah, don't sell it because you don't understand. Once you buy Bitcoin, you can't sell it because if you sell it and it goes up, now you're going to be angry. So I was like, oh, listen, if you want to sell this shit, you push the button. I'm not doing it. And I handed it to her. I let her do it. I wasn't going to do it. If I had bought that much, I think she had like what, $1,400-$1,500 worth of it, $1,600, something like that. If I bought that much of it, there's no way I would have sold it. I would just left it there, because I'm not the type of person who sells, and I don't panic sell either. I've seen so many market dips. All it takes is for this dumbass Trump to open his mouth and the market dips, and he says something stupid. Oh yeah, we'll put 100% tariffs on you. Market dips. I've sat through so many market dips at this point. I'm numb to market dips. It doesn't even affect me anymore. It's like listen, as long as my dividends are getting paid to me, I don't even care. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm tired of... I don't even want to look at the shit no more. It's like I used to look at my gains all the time. Now, sometimes I look, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just let it sit. I don't even feel like looking at it. But that's how I feel about it. So yeah, that's all I basically had to say. This is a really long video. This is like the only way I could get long-term views because of YouTube and their shadow ban bullshit. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's all I got to say, and I'm going to sleep now. Who's cutting in front of me? It's freaking little McLaren something. I think that might be the GT right there. I'm not really sure. This guy just cut in front of me instead of properly merging. He merged over it like this fucking asshole with this goddamn Audi, merging over these white lines. These people don't learn until they get into accidents. If I were you, I wouldn't let that Audi in either. I don't like him. This guy's breaking the law and shit.
Now, a transgender woman's milk is just as good for babies as breast milk. That's according to a letter from the medical director at University Hospital Sussex NHS Foundation Trust. The claim was made as part of a response against campaign groups. The trust referred to studies and the World Health Organization guidance, including one case which found what it called no observable effects in babies fed by induced lactation.
Today is November 13th. This is probably where I'll probably end this video since I've stretched it out. So the story is J.D. Vance's tweet resurfaces after emails assert Trump knew of Jeffrey Epstein crimes. Now we just don't talk about it. Remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a child sex trafficking ring? The vice president's 2021 tweet asks. So there are a lot of people who are already on Facebook, the Trump derangement syndrome people, who their derangement is that they have their head so far up Trump's ass that all they can smell is Trump poop. But at any event, These people are trying to do their best to defend and deflect. Oh, well, why didn't the Democrats release it? First of all, you got to understand something. I'm not a Democrat. As far as I'm concerned, I would like nothing more than to capture all of these people and execute them all. But the thing about it is they're not going to let me do that because I think it's something like the 8th Amendment or something that doesn't allow you to just do that. But the reality is I don't care if it's Democrats or Republicans. The problem is, who are they protecting? Trump is protecting somebody. And that's why I say either he's protecting himself or he's protecting others, or what they're trying to do is they know that it's going to get released eventually. So they're trying to position themselves so that they can be prepared for the backlash when it finally gets released. He is in the position now. So for all those assholes, well, why didn't the Democrats do it 10 years ago? Listen, they didn't do it, but you're in the position right now to do it. That's like saying, it's like right now I'm in front of a bush because I'm charging my car. That's like saying, yeah, well, somebody didn't pick the fruit out of the tree like a month ago, but guess what? I'm here right now. I can get out my car and I can go pick it right now. And there's like nobody can stop me. It's like, stop passing the blame, stop passing the buck. You're not fooling anybody. It's not cute. It's like, just forget it. So I'm sure here they have the tweet itself. The tweet. September 4th, 2021. I think about this Matthew Walther column about once a month. The Jeffrey Epstein case is why people believe in Pizzagate. So this was September 4th, 2021. So at that time, it could be argued that J.D. Vance had no idea that he was going to end up being the vice president. So a lot of the stuff that J.D. Vance is saying is basically being, brought back up to be used against him, because he himself called Trump a fascist and a racist. We have it on record. We literally have it on record. So J.D. Vance didn't know that he was going to end up being the vice president. So they're pulling up his old stuff and using it against him. Remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a sex trafficking ring. And then that guy died mysteriously in jail. And now we just don't talk about it. So, I'm going to take a screenshot of that so I could use it as a weapon on Facebook, while I'm attacking people. But, yeah, it's like, who are you fooling? You ain't fooling nobody. We already know you can't distance yourself from this. And the problem is, the more you try to distance yourself, the more guilty you look. It says critics have returned to the latter tweet quoting and retweeting it in mass. Yeah, people like me who just use memes as weapons. Like, I weaponize memes. In fact, why do you think I needed a 2 terabyte storage drive? It's because I probably have like over 100 gigabytes worth of memes. But anyway, Wednesday that were sent by Epstein to associate Ghislaine Maxwell and author Michael Wolff between 2011 and 2019. In the emails, Epstein alleged that Trump knew about the girls, called the president the dog that hasn't barked, and claimed that Trump spent hours, here it is. Trump spent hours at Epstein's home with one of the victims. Now, let me copy that too, because you know how these supporters are. You know how they'll say anything. Like, these people have no souls, they have no morals, and the reality is, we know you're dirty, and it's gonna come out. The truth is always gonna come out sooner or later. And right now, we're weaponizing these tweets, and we're just posting them. See, my argument is, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not Charlie Kirk. What I'm doing is I take those memes, drop them off, and I just leave. It's like, I'm not even going to bother arguing with you. If you try coming back at me, I'm going to block your ass. And I'm just not doing it. This is what it means to be a virus. A virus lands on a cell. It drops its information into that cell. It hijacks the cell. It causes that cell to start reproducing viruses, or I should say replicating viruses. And then that virus just leaves and it goes finds another cell. It doesn't stay there and argue with you. That's what a virus does not do. That's why viruses are so effective, because you're basically spreading information with no regard, with no responsibility. You're just a virus. You're just out there spreading information. That's what it means to go viral. I think people use the term, but they don't even really know what they're saying. I understand what they're saying, but from a whole different level. So, there's no defense. What is it? Vance was, of course, a fierce public critic of Trump around the time of the latter's first presidential election win in 2016. He eventually came around to Trump's side, though, and earned his place as Trump's chosen vice president. Yeah, whatever. We know that. The fact remains that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club decades ago for being a creep to his female employees, including Guthrie. Levitt's statement concluded. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, I find it real odd that the first thing that Ghislaine Maxwell says out in public when she's questioned, Trump had nothing to do with it. The bottom line is this. Ghislaine Maxwell, and it's unprecedented that child predators bargain with the federal government to get a nicer, less intensive, cushy cell. If it was me and I put you in a prison, let me tell you something. I would take it to Star Trek 6 on your ass. If it was me, we would go down to Antarctica and we would have a prison in Antarctica just like in Star Trek 6. You know how they had Roro Pente? What we would do is we'd open a prison and it would be underground and your only job would be to dig all day long. And we'd expand the entire interior of this frozen prison wasteland in Antarctica. We'd have tunnels everywhere and you'd be digging them. And that's what I would do to you. And I'm, some people think I'm joking. I'm not joking. I really want to do that. Like, you know how in Total Recall, they had the prisoners digging tunnels on Mars? That's what we would do. We would take you to Mars. You have no hope of ever returning to Earth. You've been exiled. And what we'd do, I'd catch every last one of these child predators and you'd be digging tunnels for the rest of your natural life. And if you fuck with us, you buck back at the system, you try to hit a guard or something, we're going to throw you out on the surface. You will choke to death. You will starve to death. You will freeze to death, whatever it is. It depends where you are. If you're on Mars, if you're in Antarctica or whatever. And that's what we'll do. And we'd build a massive prison complex. So this way, you don't even have to execute people anymore. What you can do is you could exile them to this frozen prison. And they have no hope of escape because if they go out on the surface, they freeze to death or they get eaten by penguins or polar bears or whatever it is, or sharks, if there's any polar sharks, whatever it is. But they can't escape because you can't swim in frozen water. And they'd be so far away, like people would be like, well, they got exiled, so much for them. And that's how it'd be. I'd take it to the sci-fi movies on you if it was up to me. And it wouldn't even really be a violation of the 8th Amendment simply because you'd be digging tunnels. And as long as you act well, we'll give you hot soup, and you'll have hot soup for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that'll be what keeps you warm, and you'll just spend your life digging tunnels. And when you die, that's it, and we're going to feed you to the penguins. And that's it. But bottom line is this. Ghislaine Maxwell bargained to get a nicer cell. I'd have never allowed you to do that. In fact, if it was left up to me to protect Epstein when he was in maximum security, believe me, he'd still be alive because I'm pretty sure somebody would have come, tried to bribe me and everything. And I'd be like, nah, that's okay. I'm paid enough. And I'm also going to report you. And I'd have kept him alive. We would have gotten every bit of information out of him. And then he'd be executed. It's just that simple. Or he'd be in my Supermax prison, Roro Pente in Antarctica, and he'd be digging for the rest of his natural life. And he would never have any hope of ever coming back to America. He'd be in Antarctica until he dies. And then we take his bones and his flesh and we feed it to the polar bears. And that's it. Nice. You just wipe your hands, nice and easy. Law and order, there you go. But I just wish I was in charge, because if I was in charge, believe me, we'd make them pay. We'd make them pay permanently. But that's just how it is. So it says, Trump, there should be no deflections. Trump warns Republicans to stay out of Epstein trap. No. The Epstein trap is not a trap. The Epstein trap that you believe is a trap is you protecting somebody. We don't know who it is, but we're going to find out. We're going to keep pressing. We're going to find out. We're going to get you. We're going to get whoever it is. If it's you, we're going to get you. If it's your friends, you're protecting your friends, we're going to get you. We're going to get them too. And that's it. But Maxwell is in a position. You got to understand this woman. She will say anything because this woman is like, what is it, like 60-something years old? and she is in prison for like 20 years, she is doing her best to basically see if Trump will give her a pardon. Nobody else will pardon her. Trump is an unpopular president, no matter how you slice it. Half this country hates the motherfucker. He will pardon her. He will wait right until the end of his presidency and he'll pardon her, and there'll be nothing you can do about it. Now, first of all, I am not a Democrat. I can also point out Biden is disgusting, and he got away with pardoning. There was a judge who was basically putting kids in prison and then using these kids for labor, hard labor. Biden pardoned this judge. So I'm disgusted with Biden. Again, if I was in charge, you'd be in Antarctica digging tunnels until you die. You'd be in Antarctica, you'd be right in Antarctica underground digging tunnels. And that's it. But Biden pardoned this judge. I would have worked him to his skeleton could be seen through his hands. I would have worked him to death. Biden pardoned him. It's a very good possibility that what Ghislaine Maxwell's doing, she'll say anything for Trump to give her a pardon. So maybe the deal is like this. This could be the deal. Yeah, well, Ghislaine, I'm going to be president for the next 3 years. And at the end of my term, when nobody can do nothing about it, as long as you keep your mouth shut, what I'll do is I'll pardon you. And you'll be out of prison and you'll be pardoned. But you're going to have to do this for the next 3 years. Oh, Mr. Trump, is it possible that you could put me in a nicer cell? I'll keep shut. I won't say anything, but can I go to a nicer cell? Because that Madman Big Truck series said he's going to put me in Antarctica and I'm going to be digging tunnels. Oh, yeah, don't worry, Ghislaine, what we're going to do is I'll put you in a nice cell, and it'll be a nice soft cell, and you won't have a problem. And as long as you keep your mouth shut, you don't say anything, I'll get you out of here, and I will pardon you. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. You can trust in me, because I'm the best president ever. I'm the biggest and the best. I'm the greatest. I'm pretty sure it went something like that. Because to tell you the truth, if I was in jail at 60 years old, I'm facing 20 years. That's basically my life. I would say and lie, and I would do anything at any cost to get out of there. I would confess to shooting John F. Kennedy if it got me out of that prison cell. I would say I saw who did it. I'd point fingers that are false. I'd name false. Whatever it took, I would do it to get out of there. That's where Ghislaine Maxwell is right now. That's the state of mind she's in. I don't trust anything she says. I have no idea why anybody would trust anything she says. So you mean to tell me the first words out of my... Yeah, Trump had nothing to do with it. He didn't have nothing to do with it. The first words out of her mouth, he ain't got nothing to do with it? Really? And y'all believe that? So you know what? Y'all go right on ahead. Y'all believe that nonsense because I don't believe it. Ghislaine Maxwell is going to keep her mouth shut. Hopefully she stays alive long enough to keep her mouth shut to make it worth it. Ghislaine Maxwell is going to keep her mouth shut. And you know what? I'm calling it right now. If she stays alive and nobody decides to off her ass, she is going to be pardoned by Trump by the last year of his term, probably the last couple of months. He will pardon her. Look what Biden did. He waited. He pardoned that judge. He pardoned his family for crimes that hadn't even been charged yet. It's like, how do you even do that? First of all, I know enough of the law to understand that you can't pardon people unless they've actually been convicted of a crime. How do you have a pardon and you haven't brought anybody to the law to pardon? That doesn't even make sense. So first of all, this entire government is corrupt. I think we all understand that now. The guilty are never going to pay the price. I think we understand that now. And that's just where we are. Very, very quickly, after a record stock market, the Dow dropped to 47,457. And I'm not worried about any of that because my dividends are still coming. I just collected like $70 worth of dividends, so I ain't even worried about that. But I found it really interesting. I took a look at Bitcoin today. Look at this. Bitcoin and the cryptos. Bitcoin's down to 98,000. Ethereum's down to 3,181. Litecoin is down to 94. XRP is 2.293. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say that we're in crypto winter. Now, winter hasn't started yet. Winter starts December 21st or December 23rd. Bottom line is, or I think the day of the winter solstice is December 21st. But anyway, yeah, I think it's safe to say we're in crypto winter now. Just a couple of days ago, it was like 101. I think that was like 2 days ago, maybe 1 day ago. I can't even remember now. Yeah, I think it's safe to say we're in crypto winter now. So this is the reason why my friend was like, yeah, get me out of this Bitcoin bullshit. Sell my Bitcoin. I was like, listen, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you do that because I don't want you blaming me for selling your assets. I don't want to do that. I don't want to touch your money. This is your money. But the problem with me is a lot of people trust me with money because they know that I have money. They know that I don't have to beg them for nothing. I don't, some of them be coming to me for loans and shit. I don't like that. But the bottom line is, it's like, nah, you take your phone, you sell this shit. I'm not doing it. And bottom line is, maybe she was right. Because the mere fact that this shit dropped, when she sold it, it was like 103,000. Well, it's 98,000. So maybe she was right. The thing about it is, the rule of buying these cryptos is once you buy it, you don't sell, or you can't sell. I have a problem with that. I really have a problem with that. So, that's just where we are. Hopefully you're not in this bullshit. Hopefully you're buying dividend-paying stocks and working towards retirement, hopefully. But if you're not...
Because there's so much about this moment that is trying to make people feel like they've lost their mind. When in fact, these motherfuckers are crazy.
To be continued.